Welcome to the Lotco Business Podcast, a show all about helping you as a retailer, brand, or creative understand the actual business side of running your business. I offer straightforward, practical advice about the nitty-gritty of making money from your creative passion. We will be covering bite-sized business and marketing lessons, as well as interviews with experts and trailblazers in the fashion, homewares, and design industries. My name is Melissa Robbins. I'm a business coach, colour-loving, non-coffee drinking Melburnian. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Melissa Robbins. I have a special guest today here. I have Rene Skelton from Concrete Jellyfish. I am so excited to have her here because I have been following her for a really long time. And I just wanted to, share with everyone else your journey as well. Welcome along, Renee.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here from an
Yes.
Airbnb in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. And we've been through some sort of trials and tribulations to get this to going, right? Because
Oh my
we've had
goodness.
lots happening.
Family
As per
life.
usual.
The small business juggle is so real. And I feel like when you're a mum with young children, sometimes that's even enhanced more than usual, obviously. Yes, we just had bouts of sickness after sickness. And so juggling business life and then that. And then, of course, it's like everything comes at once. And then guests turned up at our house. And it's just, it becomes a Woody Allen film or something where it's just like this comedy of errors one after the other. But anyway, we made it. We're here. We made it.
So,
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is Concrete Jellyfish?
Well, what is it? I don't know. Whenever people ask me, it's so funny. They always like, what do you do? I make stuff. I think it's every artist is so self-conscious when people ask this question. But so basically, I make stuff. I make earrings predominantly. I make jewelry. I've made clothes. I've made a whole range of different stuff, but predominantly like a fashion retail brand that focuses on accessories is what I would say. Yeah. All handmade, made by me.
Yes, I was just going to say, and you make them all, right?
Yeah, probably. I was born with giant man hands. I always make a big joke about it. And actually, when we were just in Cannes a few days ago, we were like going along the Hollywood star thing. Yep. We were putting our hands in. And I was like, mine were the size of all the dudes. And then there's all these petite little actresses and I'm like got these giant gorilla hands going over the top. But so I think I was just born to make things. And when I was little, I did that as well. That's what I did to fill in my time, was just making stuff, anything and everything. I loved it.
So how long has Concrete Jellyfish been around as it is like now? What?
I was just thinking about that yesterday because I was like, I'm going to have to answer this question. 8 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And
you've evolved, as you said, in that time to be a few different things and found where you is, I guess, a little.
Yeah. I kind of we had a really good start. I don't know. I think I've answered this question previously where people are like, when you began, how did it go? And we just got lucky with a few different things. Timing, market, economy. I happened to get a few kind of connections and leads early that were to my advantage. And from there, so like from the get-go, I found a rhythm and found a place in the market and expanded quite quickly. So I got lucky. I say. A lot of hard work, like an incredible amount of hard work. Lots of start at 6 a.m., finish at midnight every single day. For like the first 2 years, I was working an incredible amount of hours. But with that, there was a bit of luck, I think, as well.
Yeah. But you've been from the, as I said, I followed you for a long time, but from the start, like you've shown up for your brand, right? Like you are your brand, being the person talking about it, designing it, as you said, showcasing the story behind how you come up with your collections, your fashion, and all of that.
Yeah. I think, so I've had previous businesses and my husband and I, my partner, Paolo, we had a food business actually where like biggest foodies. All we do is eat. We like eat and make stuff. And the making food is another making, isn't it? It's in the hand. And so we had a food business in Brisbane actually, and it was called Two Wheels and a Handlebar. We had this cafe and we got a bit of a cult following. And so we would sell out of lunches. My husband's a chef, so that helped. But with that and around that, we created a really strong community. And when we actually finished that business, we had lots of people saying how sad they were because we decided to move back to Italy because this isn't the first time I've lived in Italy. We jumped around a bit. And so that time we closed the business, moved back to Italy, and there was all these people saying, oh, we're so sad that you're going because we have this community around it. And it became like this connection point for all these different workers. And with that experience and a few other experiences throughout my career, I just realized the importance of and the real need for a sense of community. Mm-hmm. So whenever I create anything or do anything, I want people to really feel connected to it. And so I thought when I was starting this business, one of the fundamentals was that I wanted to have a role in because I wanted people to feel connected to it. Yeah. And I think that warmth that you get, it fills a little void that we all often feel in this disconnected world. And that can create a really sustainable brand. And so that was one of my initial approaches. So it was an intentional move. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be the heart and soul of it. And I want people to feel a connection to the things that I make.
Yeah, I love that. And that comes through definitely in the way that your visuals, your videos, and sharing your story. And you're just talking about then that you've had a big move. When was that? A year or so ago? When did you move to?
We moved to Italy years previously, but this time 2 years ago now, just over 2.5 years ago, we've been back in Italy.
Yeah.
I feel like it was yesterday.
Oh. And what's the reason for that? Or that's something you always wanted to do? And because you've got young kids, like what happened to bring that about?
My husband Paolo is from Italy. And so we do this thing. We have a tag team with like your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And it was his turn. And my turn was very long. I took 7 years on the last turn.
COVID thrown in there, so probably just added to it.
Now you're just taking the piss. Come on. So in the end, because it's hard when you're in a relationship, an international relationship, because someone's family is always missing out. And when you have kids, that means half the family is missing out on seeing those kids grow. So my mom is devastated that I'm over here, but Paolo's family and his extended family are so excited to have us here. So that was a real driving force. And I wanted my children to be fluent in Italian because that's their heritage, that's their culture. And now they are 2 years in and they're delightfully fluent in a second language. And prior to that, they didn't speak a word of Italian. So
that's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And so that was the big move.
So how did you go about actually moving your business there? Like, so you still the same way? Like, how did you go about that?
No, look, we thought about it long and hard, and I was naive. And to be honest, I thought it would be a lot easier than it was in the end. And we had a longer downtime than I had expected. So we had a downtime of about 9 to 10 months, which for a small business is pretty intense, pretty grueling. And that was to do with machinery was delayed in its shipment. And then machinery, some of my very expensive machinery that I worked hard to pay off in the early days of my business turned up completely broken. They had damaged it. So then I had to get a whole new piece of equipment. I had to store it over here. So it had its challenges. The good thing about having a small business and a small business that is, I suppose, handmade, is you just need a studio and you need a courier because the market now is so online and digital. And so I ship all over the world. My earrings go, as far as they go to the States, they go to parts of Asia, they go to all through Europe and then Australia. And with that, as long as they have a postman nearby, I think I can move around. Yeah. So the idea was we'll just move the business. And then there was all the administrative tackling, like the bureaucracy of changing the business from trade to companies and all this kind of stuff, which is all very boring and very tedious. But we managed it in the end, but it took longer than expected. So that was a bit hard.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess that's where having a lightweight product that's small makes it a lot easier as well. That
it sure does.
And that
it sure does. Yeah. The only thing that really changed, I suppose, that you have to keep in mind when you are shifting is taxes. So there was a few additional import-export taxes that we hadn't taken into consideration. And I like to try and absorb as many costs as I can to keep my prices very reasonable for customers. But so I've had to absorb, quite a bit of, more than I expected. That's fine.
Because where you're sending them? Is it the particular places you're sending?
Yeah, it's to do with import. Yeah, it's really boring. So the import-export taxes. So importing particular products and materials that I need to produce my jewelry and so like base material I'm talking about. And then on top of that, then exporting it back to Australia because we did the maths and we had a look, and we wanted to initially do it where we could just do third-party shipping. So you have your third-party logistics, your 3PL based in Europe that wasn't working to our advantage because Australia is so far from everything.
Yes.
And 90% of my customers are in Australia.
Yeah.
So in the end, we decided that we had to find a third-party logistics in Australia. And so now we ship all of our goods to Australia.
One
and
shipment
then they get dispersed from there. Exactly. So we had to do a lot of calculations, a lot of juggling what was best, not just for me, but mainly what was best for my customers, because at the end I can bear some costs, but I would have to pass those on. And so I found the most reliable, economic, efficient way of getting our products to our customers. So nothing felt like it was changing.
Yeah. And so how do you do that now in terms of, I saw on your Instagram, and by the time this comes out, it might have already been released, but you've got like certain release dates. And so do you get it all ready and sent to wherever it is in Australia, and then that's ready to go for that release date?
Exactly. So it lands in Australia about 10 days before my release date. So it means we're having to like work our little butts off, get everything ready, pack it up, ship it, it gets there. And then I have that kind of break in the making cycle. We still continue to make other, like the new collection, then not the one that's about to be released, but the next collection in that downtime as well. But I do that time to do marketing and showing all the goods and how they look and et cetera.
Yeah.
So we have a real rhythm to it that I have to stick to, and time frames that I stick to, which I think people in their mind have this idea that when you have a creative business, it's a bit more free flowing. But I am very structured in my approach.
Yeah.
I give myself key deadlines. I stick to them. It's all very boring in that side of the business. I like to keep it moving along.
But that's how you obviously work it around your life as well, because then you can schedule those dates, you can schedule the timeframes or the different types of work that you're doing around doing in your life as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I really do. I have schedules around making schedules versus marketing schedules versus like packing, shipping schedules. We have it all. It's not written down because I'm rubbish at doing it in like an actual schedule format. Yeah. Anyone that works with me is always, where are we at? And I'm like, I know. Why don't you know? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But I'm a real chatter, a real communicator. So I'm just like every day, it's like, all right, I'm up at this and this done. Let's go. This is what's on tomorrow. This is what we're doing the day after.
And how often do you release new ranges or collections?
It used to be more regularly in Australia, and we're 2 years in and I'm still finding my groove here. So we used to do it about every 6 to 8 weeks, and here it's been literally every 8 to 9 weeks, really. But I want to get that back down to every 6 to 8 weeks. So we're working on that this year, trying to get that in more of a rhythm.
Yeah. With your designs, how do you come up with all your different collections? How different are all the collections? I guess that's another question too. Do you release new styles, or is it the same style in new prints or patterns? How do you do that?
Yeah, look, it depends. I do reruns. So sometimes if there's a favorite style or something that really worked, I'll bring it back in new colorways, or I'll just rerun and bring that same product back a few times. But I'm a real change monkey. I thrive on creating new things. And so I tend to create new collections each time. That's an underlying theme, I suppose. I love my floral. But that's because I think within the accessories and particularly earrings, I think florals really work. And I think if you look back historically through jewelry design, you would see why, and you can see how it is a significant element. So I use florals, birds a lot. That's mainly because like I'm an absolute birder. I love birds and bird nut. And I'm also a cat lady. So go figure. That's a wild combination. And then I do abstract. So I definitely have underlying themes. Then I do a new release with a particular style. Like I might see a painting or come across something. And I'm like, gee, that really feels right to me. I talk about it like the Sixth Sense. You know how there's that movie. I'm always like, I see earrings because I walk around and I might see something and I'm like, oh my God, that's an earring. I have to create it. And so then I go in, So it's often something will jump out at me. And then from that one little seed, then something bigger will come. So
Yeah, I love that. And so that just obviously keeps it fresh for you, keeps it exciting for you that you've got that ability to have your, almost as you say, because often people get caught up in the running of the business and they lose touch with that creative side of what they started the business for. I guess that's where the way you're running it, like it gives you that creative side still. And I'm sure it gets squished down and probably.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I feel like sometimes I'm really like, oh, I've got to just shake it off. And so even me just having these few days off and coming away because we had our visitors have been really good. I have to, clean the slate a little bit and have a fresh start to get back into the creative mindset. Because I think that's something you really have to protect and nurture. Because there's like a few things that stifle creativity. Money stress, the having to sell, having to make that money to pay for, I don't know, whether it be new stock, new materials, like just the economic stress of a business, making it work. That's such a stifler for creativity, I've found. And then the other thing is stress. So burnout, being overworked and just having to run to meet like production targets and things like that. And once again, that's an economic thing because you have to obviously sell a certain amount to make business economically viable. Yeah. But so you really have to nurture that creative part, not let those other things cramp that style, which is a juggle. So far, I'm going to cross fingers, touch it. So far, I've managed to balance it. Yeah. That's good. But also, as you say, like you work differently now than what you did when you in the first 2 years. Like it doesn't all happen straight away either. Like it does evolve. Yeah. You find your rhythm, or you obviously got repeat customers. That's a big part of your business. Like I have a lot of long-term customers. I have so many long-term customers. I have some customers that were my customers from my cafe, believe it or not, who actually followed me into my new business, and they were so supportive. And so they've been long-term customers from even before Concrete Jellyfish existed. And then I have, lots of customers from like first collection, first range, and they're still collecting today, which is just, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, to think how special that is. Someone wants to invest so much into your journey as well. And you just hope that you're giving enough back, I suppose. But like how to lots of repeat customers. Like I would say probably even, I think 60 or 70% of my customer base is always repeat. And then each time I'm getting their additional new 30%. And then there's the turnover in those stats as well of some people dropping off and bringing it up like that. Yeah. That's interesting in itself. And I think that's the thing as well, understanding your business, because not everyone's business is going to be the same in that regard. No. Not everyone's going to have repeat customers to pay some, depends on what they sell. But you, the community around it, you involving people in the design and selection process and how you come about it. I saw your latest one, I think it was yesterday or the day before. You're talking about the hoop version. I'm not sure what you called it. I can't remember. Oh, the hoop skins. Oh my God, I'm so pumped for these freaking hoop skins. I'm like, it took me years to get to them, which is so silly because in the end, it's such a simple concept. Yeah. And I don't know why I didn't get to it earlier. I was obviously trying to overcomplicate things. And I keep telling myself the same thing that my sister said, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. And it's such a silly thing, but I do it to myself all the time. When I'm trying to design something, I'm like, stop it, Renee, get out of your head, keep it simple, stupid. And so I finally came to the hoop skins. I am obsessed with them. Yeah. Yes. What are they made from? I don't remember what you. Oh my God. So they're handmade. So cool. So I'm always trying to find new materials as well. Yeah. Especially, and part of that, I think, you'd mentioned in like some of the interview kind of information you're saying, why do you find being innovative? Is it because you like change or to keep ahead of the game? Or I think being in a small business, one of the biggest and most important things is to always, firstly, innovation for sure, because you need to stand out in the crowd. There's a lot of people trying to sell earrings. There's a lot of people trying to have a small business, fashion retail. So to be innovative and always coming up with something fresh and new keeps you ahead of that game. You're like that little bit ahead. And so I'm always trying to find new materials because I'm not the first person to make resin. I'm not the first person to make flower earrings or bird earrings. I would never claim to be, but I am the first person to do it in my way with my fresh touch and my fresh approach. Yeah. And so this new material is a handmade artisan material from Italy. And they actually use it to make the crazy expensive, like handmade glasses.
I was going to say, is it like it's true, because I make a lot of sunglasses and glasses in
exactly. Italy is famous for its eyewear. I've actually had a line, which people keep asking me to do it again. And I am in touch with the manufacturer. I've just got to go back to him again. He does handmade frames. Yeah. And I made a collection with him. But so it's the same material that I use for the glasses. It's the same type of material used and applied in a different way.
Love it.
And from my research, no one else globally has used, globally has used this material in this way. So I'm very excited to start bringing it into my collection.
Yeah. Love that. And it's very lightweight too, which would make it easy to.
It's so lightweight. This is my ultimate game. Like my aim in life is just the world's most lightweight, largest earring, because I see these earrings on the market all the time. Now, obviously I don't do like cast metals. I don't do precious metals, or even coated brasses where they cast them into a mold, injection mold, and then they will coat them afterwards. And they've got these beautiful, they're so freaking heavy. It's like you get these beautiful earrings. They're so heavy. You can wear them for a few hours to an event and that's it. And I think that's so sad to not be able to get the full use out of this. If you're spending all of that money and you're so passionate and in love with this design, I want you to be able to wear it like as much as you want without any discomfort. And so I'm always trying to improve size versus weight ratio to the point of it's like a feather. And when I was wearing those hoop skins, I was wearing the statement ones in Cannes a few nights ago. We went out with our Australian friends that were visiting. And I was wearing them. I touched my ears and she said, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, I thought I'd forgotten to put earrings in. And then I had this hallelujah moment. I was like, praise the Lord, I've done it. I
can't even tell you're wearing them.
I couldn't even tell I was wearing them. And they're giant. It was like, oh, yeah, the holy grail of earring making. Very cool.
Oh, that's super exciting. I'll definitely share a link in the show notes to those ones for people. So
what we're talking about. Yes, everybody get on board.
And so that was a question I had for you. I don't know where you're at with this. Do you still wholesale or have you ever wholesaled or you just sell?
I did wholesale to galleries mainly. Yeah. So I was in like the National Gallery of Australia, or no, the National Museum of Australia. I was in Goma, State Library, Museum of Brisbane, and a few different like galleries and some of the smaller galleries and a few shops. At the moment, I've dropped right back down to one wholesale, one stockist, because I was struggling with keeping up with production.
Yeah.
And so in the end, I've dropped off, like a lot of the stockists have dropped off. Yeah. And I've just got one lady, just because basically I love her and she's wonderful, in Brisbane that I've kept wholesaling to. And I'm doing a collaboration for the National Museum of Australia, who is about to do an installation on Pompeii, a big show, like exhibition on Pompeii. And so this is the lady that I had a previous relationship with. I used to wholesale to them, and she approached me saying, would I do a special collection for them? So I'm about to do that as well. But external to that, I do all just retail now, no wholesale.
Yeah.
So I would say 98% is retail, direct selling.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's the thing. Like I love wholesale, and I think it's a good avenue for sales. But it does depend on what your business is and what your model is of how you're selling. And also, if you have a 60-70% of people coming back to buy again and again, it's a lot easier to be direct to consumer.
Exactly. And you know what? It served me really well when I was starting out. And I think I found, like, for a lot of brands, that's what it is. It's a really good tool when you're establishing. And then you don't want to break down those relationships. And the one thing I would say is me dropping off my wholesale has dropped off my social media growth, because you're not having as much visibility to new clients. They're not coming in and then jumping on board for sure. So now I'm having to explore, just this year, I'm going to explore some new, approaches to try and expand my customer base. Yeah. But wholesale is good for certain aspects. The other thing is when it's a handmade product, I think it's all down to numbers. Sit down and crunch those numbers and see what is economically more viable for you, and then weigh off the pros and cons, especially in terms of like marketing, name brand recognition, getting your name out there, because that's also another cost I think you should attribute, like another pro for the wholesale. But economically, it has to stack up. I see all these brands, and some of them, I often turn and say to my partner, I'm like, how are these women selling these small, like female led businesses? How are they selling them? Wholesale.
Yeah.
And when the retail, the cost per piece is so low, they mustn't be paying themselves a livable wage. I don't, my business model is completely out and I've somehow stuffed up my administrative costs, but I don't think so. I think a lot of people are just cutting themselves short and trying to get a foot in the door, but at the expense of themselves. And I don't know if that's a good approach either.
No, there's definitely, I see through the clients I work with, there's a lot of people who aren't pricing properly or aren't accounting for a lot of things or aren't looking at the right things in their cost of goods and all that sort of stuff as well. But it's definitely something people can work on, and that you need to allow margin for that customer acquisition.
Exactly. And from the start, because I see these brands and it's really hard to raise your prices.
Yeah.
To drop your prices is actually a lot easier. Like you can slowly decrease the price of your product, but to slowly increase, people notice. Like I had to add, I think, an extra $5 onto some of my larger pieces. And that's because we all know the economy and inflation has caused a lot of issues. And I thought $5 is really modest, $5. I hadn't raised my prices in 4 years. I thought, gee, that's all right. And a few people asked me why and contacted me. And I was like, because everything costs more. I'm paying like double for some things and taking that cost. And that's a nice thing. So because I've priced my pieces, I would say fairly, I do have some people saying, look, your jewelry and stuff is expensive. And I'm like, no, it's not actually. If you look at like large scale brands that are getting them manufactured in all parts of the world, their cost per unit is really low on their manufacturing. And they're charging 10 times, up to 10 times more than I charge for my earring, purely because they're getting a brand name on it. And I'm hand making these 2 giant gorilla hands. I'm making each piece for you. I have to charge accordingly or I can't sustain my brand, can't sustain my business.
And that's the thing. I think anyone who's in the business understands that, but definitely a lot of consumers just they're not comparing how many units you're making compared to someone else. Like they don't understand that sort of scale.
But also I'm paying myself a livable wage where a lot of people who get it manufactured offshore are paying the workers in those places not what we would consider a livable wage.
Exactly.
So that's the other. That's the hidden cost that people don't.
And you know what? If people don't like it, they can buy something else because yours.
That's what I would say too.
They get it.
That's what I think too. And so that's what I was saying, like with a business, I think you should price it correctly from the outset and give yourself enough kudos to go, no, you know what? I'm paying myself a livable wage. I'm making something unique and special. I'm putting all that hard work, energy, all those sacrifices of having a small business into this little product that you're buying. I'm going to price it correctly. I'm going to be proud of that. And I'm going to say it's a fair price.
Yeah.
And if you do that from the start, then if there is any fluctuations in the market as well, which is what I've experienced, I've been able to bear the cost of some of the ups and downs without having to pass that on. But if your margins are so tight, any of those fluctuations you have to pass on, or then your livable wage becomes an unlivable wage. So it needs to be at a certain level that you can sustain those highs and lows in small businesses. I think the practicalities really have to come into it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want it to be a business that makes a profit, not one that just is a hobby that you're just making to give people.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a small business, then that's our family income. And so it has to be, we have to be able to draw economically from it, as well as being able to I feel very lucky because I get to draw a livable wage and enjoy what I do. It's delightful. It's worked out well for us. Yeah, win.
But you built it like that. And so what would you suggest to others like getting started and investing in from the start of their journey?
Yeah, look, get really good equipment from the get-go. And if that means taking out, this is my personal experience, so I would never want to give it financial advice to anyone else. But I took out like a lease on a lot of my equipment and then I paid that off and I paid it off aggressively. So as your business grows, but investing in good equipment and machinery up front is what's going to help you grow the business in terms of that's just technical making.
Yeah.
What else could I think? Yeah, price accordingly, be proud of your products, do something different. Don't copy. I have a pet hates. I think I do get frustrated with, design. Well, I call intellectual property theft. But so just stand on your own 2 feet, just something that you love. And the more you create something different, unique, and you're pushing your own boundaries, the more you're going to get back from that business personally, but also the bigger response you're going to get from your customer base. Do something innovative that stands out and it's different from other people.
Yeah.
Just because it's you. Yeah.
And keep doing that, as you say, keep innovating, keep being creative, keep allowing time for that creative juices to flow type of thing as well.
Yeah, that's right. And growing as you grow as your business goes along, you grow and you reinvent yourself over and over. I know I definitely reinvent myself almost every release. And sometimes I feel like it might be a step sideways and then I come back in line and I'm trying something and come back. But as long as you're always trying and giving it a go, I think in the end, you'll slowly find that path upward. Sometimes it feels like you're going sideways for a long time, but then you might shoot up. It's about, constantly pushing, even when you feel persistence. Yeah. And even when you feel like maybe you can't, you just keep working through it and you will get there. Yeah.
And so I did see a funny reel on this that you made, but I was going to ask you, what does your team look like? Like, who do you have working with you and or for you, or have you had in the past as well?
I did have Kelly. Kelly, where are you? I miss Kelly. Kelly was in Australia. Kelly worked with me full time. She was just delightful and amazing. And then my partner Paolo worked with me full time as well. So the busiest we've been is there's 3 of us full time working Monday to Friday. What time? 8 to 5 was the standard hours. I would obviously work more, but that was and that worked really well. And then now we've dropped that back, but I've just been interviewing and trialing a girl here in Italy and she's wonderful. So hopefully that means I'll get some more help back on board.
Yeah. And what sort of role would you outsource to her?
So she'll be making with me. So she'll be doing a lot of like a studio assistant role. Yeah, is what I generally feel. The creativity I like to do, that's my fun part. I'm like, I don't want to give that bit up. So I get to do the fun bit. If I have to do the finance and the admin and all that boring stuff, then I get the fun stuff too. And then I'm trying to maybe look at getting some help with the marketing side because I historically have very lazy and have never approached. I haven't used influencers, not one.
Yeah.
I haven't used influencers. I haven't used any paid ads until recently. I think my total ad expenditure for my entire business has been about $100. And I have
opportunity there.
Yeah, opportunity. I know, opportunity for growth. That's what I spoke to someone about it the other week. And they were like, wow, this is a great base for you if you haven't done anything. I'm like, no, I've been really rubbish at it. Mainly just because I think I've been a bit fearful of it. Because I don't know that area very well. That's not my area of expertise. Yeah. And so I'm going to try and get some extra help in that as well. Yeah. Studio assistant and then some help in that side. And then we'll see how we go there.
Yeah. And what sort of, how many subscribers would you have like on your list? So obviously you've built up over a long time. So you do use
on like my email subscribers? Yeah. Oh, isn't that big? Because I've been rubbish at that. I only put a link on my website to join an email list about 4 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that shocking? I know. Look at you. You're like having a conniption for me. You're like, Renee, what are you doing? I know. I'm terrible, aren't I?
Again, it's another opportunity. Come on.
Thank you. I love you being so polite right now. Thank you very much. When you're really thinking, you bloody idiot. I know.
Look, the amount of people who I do speak to, and I think I had one a year or so ago now, and she had 108,000 something followers on Instagram, but she had 1,000 email subscribers. And I was like,
I'm about 43,000 followers. And I want that to grow. I feel like I'm still settling into Italy. It's terrible. It's been quite an adjustment with lots of things. But I would like to grow that because we had a lot of growth early and then it's stagnating. But social media is a whole other world from 8 years ago when I started.
Oh, yes.
Like it's really hard to get followers now.
It's a different game. You've got to go about it differently. Yeah,
I know. And I just don't think I'm equipped to do it. I think at the start I was, and I think I was fine and great. And I think now I'm just out of my depth. And so I'm going to have to get some help with that. So I've only got maybe 2,500 subscribers on email.
That should be your next push to get as many of those 45,000 on
I know.
list.
And I don't even know. Yeah, I suppose that's good. I don't even know if that's a decent number as well. Like I would have no gauge.
That is okay. That's okay. But you could, for how many other followers you have and how many return customers you have, it'd be great to have more.
Yeah. And the fact that I've been going for 8 years.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I know. I've just been really, like, literally no link on my website at all. And I didn't know. This is part of my thing. It's terrible too. I feel bad. I don't want to annoy anyone. I hate fucking pop-ups. Pop-ups shit me to tears. So I'm like, I don't want to shit anyone. I don't want to annoy anyone. I don't want to do a pop-up. And
what do you do with the pop-up though? You just close it, right? If you don't like it.
Yeah, but that's annoying. It's bad. I just want to be the least annoying brand out there. But it's just so much to my detriment, I know. And then I don't want to annoy anyone by sending them lots of emails. People that are on my list, I reckon you get an email once every 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. You've been able to run your business without doing that. So what I would say is that I think, as you said, Instagram from years ago was different. And so you were able to grow that, which is but also now less people see, even though you've got 45,000.
No one sees. I can see this.
Less people see it. Hard. Yeah, that's why you need all these other things now as well, because you want to you've got control of when you send the email, whereas you can't control necessarily the
algorithm or whatever the hell they call it. No, I know. And it's really hard. Like I really feel like my stats I'm getting a quarter of the stats that I used to get a few years ago in terms of likes and things like that. But I am still getting a lot compared to others, which is, I just think, I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't even getting the small amount that I do get. But saying that, even though all these things have changed, I've still been selling out of my product. Yeah. We've still been producing to our capacity. Yeah. And I'm not talking small numbers either. We used to make about 4,000 pairs of earrings a month. Yeah. And it was 6 weeks and we would sell every single pair. Yeah, and whilst we've dropped that down, that's just purely because of our making capacity. We're still selling at a really high level. And I think in this economic environment, I'm so proud that I can still sustain that. Yeah. Even at the base level.
And you know what I think, why I wanted to talk to you as well as part of like people see other people running their business and be like, I have to do it this way. I have to do it this way. But you don't chosen to do it the way that suits you and your life and your lifestyle.
Like not doing a pop-up because I don't want to piss people off. Like that's totally fine. If you want to do that, go right ahead. I know. I've got to look at me. I'm like forward, ahead of the trend. No pop-up.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, you've been able to, and I think that's part of success as well, just knowing that your success comes from not just your financials, but the lifestyle you get to lead as well and the choices you get to make.
Yeah, look, I still don't have much of my balance. It's still completely, I work a lot, but I choose to put all of that energy into the creativity and the actual production and making sure that is really, that's my home. That's why I need help in the other now. I'm like, okay, I need to go outsource some of these things that I clearly, and maybe I could just outsource that guilt of the pop-up. Like
I was going to say, I'm going to message your girl and be like, okay, this is how often it needs to come on. This is how. Honestly, I read some stat the other day of the different timing of your pop-up. If you have it come on again more than once, like your subscribers will go through the roof. Anyway, we won't even get into that now, but it definitely is part of.
It just blows my mind. This is like but I also feel a bit icky. Like I'm a bit, as much as I like love social because it creates a community, that to me is the basis of where and how I would use it. I am not particularly huge on on social media, like TikTok and all of these things and how the impacts they have on society as a whole and the excessive marketing and the consumerism. And I'm such a contradiction, really. It's hilarious. I'm like this little artistic maker. I just want to make stuff and sell my pretty things and have my studio, but not necessarily have to be part of this huge capitalist chain of like sell. Yeah. But I am at the same time. So I just have to eat my words. I just go, if I want to make my stuff and I want to be that crazy weird artist sitting there going, I have to be a part of that world. Yeah. You have to, And
Lots of balance, but still, as you say, doing it your way. And I would definitely recommend more than every 6 weeks an email, but maybe only every 3. Let's start somewhere. But yeah,
I sent an extra one the other day and I was like, oh, I hope it's okay.
Look, people will be like, who is it? She's contacted me for so long.
I got an email from someone saying, hey, Renee, am I? Because I haven't received an email. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't feel it.
Oh my gosh.
So bad. Yeah, okay. Don't follow any advice on me.
Don't listen to Renee on email marketing. But I think that is definitely an opportunity. So your new girl can help you with your email marketing.
That's right.
And
like, come on.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll stick to my strength.
And again, you've been able to do it without it.
That's right.
I always said, you don't even make so much anyway as well, what you can actually produce, as you said. So you're
and I don't know how. I got really, that's why I say there's got to be some luck involved. There is just a lot of hard work, but there also has to be just like a good dose of luck in there for me to have been able to navigate such a competitive market and have success without having to do the extra things. Yeah.
But others can, I would, definitely take that they can, from that conversation, I would definitely take that from the start, try and build your email list so that you've got it to almost, probably going to match your Instagram or your sort of following if that's the case. But at least if it's growing the same pace, same rate, it would be ideal.
Because exactly. Yeah, definitely. Learn from my mistakes.
And so would you change anything about your journey or do anything differently?
I would have established an email list. Now we know that. Yeah, look, I probably would have, maybe I wouldn't have done the juggle and put everything on myself as much. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. I think in small business, we tend to I am very particular about certain things, and that's just in my nature. I don't like to use the word controlling, but maybe that's what it is. Call it what it is. I like to have control over certain aspects and quality control. And I've tried to pass some of those up, and then I've been burnt a little bit in some instances where I've handed those tasks over. So it's hard to not want to just do everything yourself. Yeah. But when you do everything yourself, it is so overwhelming and you get burnout. And especially if you have friends and family and a loved one or a dog or someone in your life, anything that needs to have your attention and your love, to put it all into a business and all into that side of your life, it's not going to serve you well in the long run. So I think definitely getting some help in an affordable way from the start. Yeah. So crunching those numbers and seeing what you can outsource and what you can afford to outsource. I think, in retrospect, I should have probably invested in some more help from the start. Yeah. Than just taking it all on myself. Yeah. That's part of my personality.
It's an entrepreneur thing too, I think, as well. But I can do it better.
Yeah. Oh, I can do it. I'll just find another 10 minutes in my day. I'll find another 3 hours in my day. And then in the end, you just sleep very little and work a lot and run. Like, I'm very efficient in my business now. When I make, I like, what do I make? But I wish I probably took that pressure off myself for sure.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. And what is something that no one knows about you or anything that you could share?
Oh, what is something that no one knows about me? I love food. Like, I would love to open a food business myself, external to my husband, who's a chef.
He's a chef now, works as a chef now in Italy.
No, at the moment he's been taking a break while we've done the transition, but he is going to be jumping back in that, yes. But he's a whole other level. He's like Michelin star level chef. He works in all the fancy restaurants. I call them the fancy ones. He works in all the fancy, where you go and get tiny portions and you go get a kebab afterwards because you're still hungry. Those restaurants. But I'm a street food gal. I did a lot of travel through Southeast Asia. I did a semester abroad when I was at university in Thailand. And so I love just Asian street food. And so I would love to maybe open a business that. That's something someone doesn't know about me. And also I get obsessed with the American elections because I think they are like the most bizarre social experiment on the planet. And I find them fascinating.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot coming up. There's going to be so much more to dive into.
Yeah. Like one of the first time Donald Trump went up, my husband was like, just calm your thumb, like stop. I'm like, but it's so interesting. And I get really, because I studied, my background is actually in like social politics, economics, anthropology and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And community development. So that's my background. And that's probably where my interest of creating community sense of belonging comes from as well.
Okay. Yeah. And so what is next, or what's coming up for Concrete Jellyfish or for you?
Oh, what's next? Okay. So I had a trial run with some clothing last year, but my manufacturing stuff, anyway, there was a bit of a hiccup with
I think I saw your dresses at the time. I don't know when that was last year or not, but.
Yeah, and they did work, but that was just like a trial run for me. I learned some lessons from that. So I'm going to have a dip back into the field of some clothing. That's coming up. We might dip back into eyewear again.
I do remember always loving your eyewear that you used to wear in your
yes. And so we'll do some maybe get into some opticals, and
you're
then
in the perfect place, as you said, like with the manufacturer.
I know. Yeah, I'm in the perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
And then we've got the shift in materials. We're still using our resin, but there'll be a shift in materials. And then there's just always some new releases coming. Some new designs bubbling away under the surface. I found some like 18th century illustrations the other week that were just, they're 16th century. I think they're like 16th century German was the original one. And then that took me on a deep, I know it sounds like that, and then took me on a deep dive into finding all these other illustrations. They're like hand-drawn watercolors on birth certificates from a particular era in a particular region here in Europe, like in Germany. And they were just so beautiful. And so I think I'm going to try and do a little bit of exploration into that and see if I can really find some pieces to bring out and create that into a little collection.
Amazing. Love the way that, your mind works, or where you'll find things, or what you're exploring.
Sixth sense. That's right. I don't even know where I saw it either. I think I was doing some research because I'm very deliberate with my design process. Yep. Creativity, I say, is 50%. No, I reckon even more than that. I'd say 80% hard work. I'd say creativity is just about really showing up and putting in the hard work. It's not just this came to me. It's about doing research, backing up, trialing and error, getting consistency and hard work is where creativity really lies, I think. Yeah. And so, when I get on something, I really jump into and put a lot of hard work into trying to find a little gold in there.
Yeah. And as you say, it's just a deep dive into it, and where can that take you, and letting yourself in the process as well.
Yeah. And not being guided as much by what other people are doing. I don't know. I don't think that 16th century German birth certificates are trending right now in the fashion world. So
we'll have to do some research on the data, but I don't think they're getting high on the search engine.
No, I don't think they are. So I feel like that's a good starting point for something innovative, because other people aren't onto it. Although now you've got here's the breaking story. Here we go, everyone jump onto it. Hilarious. But yeah. Okay.
So funny. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your journey. It's been amazing. And can you just tell me again, your website is concretejellyfish.com, is it? Oh, it is. Okay. So same as your Instagram.
It is concretejellyfish.co. I think that was like down to a practical thing of like I couldn't get .com. And then I thought, you know what, that's cool. And so concretejellyfish.co. You can find us at Concrete Jellyfish Co. And you will occasionally get an email from me if you sign up. And you won't get any annoying pop-ups on my website.
All right, they're coming. Don't worry, we're going to make that happen.
So what you can find is some amazing earrings made from someone who really genuinely likes creating things and giving everything a go.
Yeah. Love it. And some crazy, awesome stuff coming that they can follow along the journey and see when things come out and what's coming next and what's coming soon.
Yeah, the excitement. That's another hot tip for businesses. You need to create some buzz.
Yeah.
In life,
excitement coming, what's coming.
Exactly. In life as an adult, I think there's really, maybe it's just my life, but I think really it's so seldom that you get these opportunities to feel like excited, like a little kid, like something coming up, like maybe a birthday, Christmas, maybe a kid's birthday, a few things here and there throughout the year. But to create something that people can feel a little bit enthusiastic about in amongst all of the everyday kind of drudge sometimes of life, just getting along. I think that's super special. If you can create something that gives someone that little spark of joy every now and again, like, of course, they're going to want to come back and be a part of that.
Yeah.
It means we're all having a little bit of joy together.
Yeah, I love that. That's a perfect way to end. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. Thanks, Matt. It's been a delight.
Thank you so much for listening to the Lotco Business Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe to receive future episodes as they are released. And I'd be so grateful for a review on Apple Podcast. If you would like a copy of the show notes or any of the links mentioned today, please jump onto my website at thelotco.com.au/podcast. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.